Okay. Oh, Bachelor. And the Viper.
Okay. Oh, fuck! Sorry, boys. That's my seekers.
Don't. Okay, Bachelor, post frame.
Refreshes like you post once you kill somebody you go back to
What is up, guys? This is the ViperStealth. Thank you very much for tuning into this video, and thank you also very much for all of the love of my recent videos. Really appreciate it. I don't do this for money, so I'm glad that these build loadouts are helping you guys and giving you some ideas. I've been asked to do an update of my recent hardwired build, so here I am. I've made quite a few changes which have made it even more disgusting. Hopefully you'll agree. Let me know in the comments. What you saw a second ago was me just messing around in the dark zone with a few pals. It wasn't competitive PvP, but I just wanted to point out like how destructive my mines are. Even in PvP, they're nasty. But let's get into it. If you do enjoy this video, like and subscribe, share this build with anyone that you think would enjoy it, just to share the love with them. But let's crack on and not waste any more of your time. So this build looks very similar. If you saw my recent video, there's a few changes that I've made that are incredibly important to the build, and I'll go through it as quickly as possible. So on the main gun talents, what you want is recharge, you want perfect rooted, and you also want in rhythm. So you heard me say perfect rooted. That's the KSG shotgun that you can craft once you finish the technician specialization. So perfectly rooted is even more damage than just normal rooted that you get on weapons. So complete the specialization tree of technician and you'll be able to go to the crafting desk and craft this. So don't try and farm this in targeted loot, just go to the crafting bench and craft it, and you got it. In rhythm gives you a random skill cooldown. It can happen once every 60 seconds. You got a 5% chance. It's any kill that you land. Can only proc once every 60 seconds, so that's nice. And recharged gives you 25% more charges or duration or ammo to your skills. So it's very nice with the mines and very good with the hive. So that's a nice little buff there too. On these two weapons, we've got Sadist. You notice the bite icon towards the top, that gives you 30% extra weapon damage to bleeding enemies. We've got the striker hive down here, so that sets the bleeding effect, and I'll go into more detail on the skills later on. But we've also got the bleed talent advantage here on Sadist, you know, on the shotgun, so both weapons there, so that's good. We've got 4-piece hardwired, and the reason why we've gone for this is because we really want these seekers to be cooling down all the time as much as possible. And to do that, we've got skilled up here, which gives a 25% chance to reset skill cooldowns with every skill kill you get. So I've got the mines and the hive doing that. And hardwired, which is a guaranteed skill cooldown once every 15 seconds. So these two play off each other really nicely. And if I don't get an instant skill cooldown from hardwired or skilled, then I've also got in rhythm that can proc once every 60 seconds. And if that doesn't work, my hive will very easily get a kill on the enemy and unlock my mines anyway. So instant skill cooldowns is very consistent. I think my record is like 11 cooldowns in a row. It's really nasty, and these mines are dropping really high numbers in terms of damage, so it's great fun. Make sure when you go on your bag that you're looking for Alps. There is a brand bonus of 20% skill haste. You don't really need to spec into skill power with this build. As long as you get around 3000 skill power to unlock all of the talents on your mods for your skills, you're absolutely fine. You can spec into skill haste, which is what I've done here. I've gone for 42% skill haste. You can get that even higher. I've even got a bag which has 46%, but I don't want to break it because it's god roll. It's got, you know, 2 yellow mod slots, destructive, perfect export, and 2 yellow attributes, so I'm not touching the skill haste on that, but 42 is good for me. Throw on destructive for 40% extra damage. You want to make sure you get that, and if you can do it, the only improvement I can make to this build at this stage, other than just maximizing the attributes a little bit more, is to find a bag that has 2 yellow utility mod slots. You don't want to spec into any weapon damage on this build. This is not what this build is about. It's all about the demolishing anything that's in your path through your skills. You don't want to spec any weapon damage. It's all explosives. So do look for a bag that's got 2 yellow mod slots, Alps, and re-roll one of the attributes into yellow, so you've got 2 yellows there, and skilled and destructive. Moving on with the hardwired, the mask is pretty important. You want to go for, if possible, 55% damage to elites. I think you can even get higher. I may have seen a 56%, but basically put on as much damage to elites as you got here, and that helps your mines and your hive. So with the other one being skill haste, so I've gone for 27% here. If I do find a hardwired mask that has 31% or even higher, then I'll put the 55% onto that. But the idea here is to just max up the skill haste and whack on a damage to elites mod on that. For the vest, this is also important. Go for damage to elites. That's another 25% damage on top of the 55% that I've got on the mask. Here I've rolled an extremely high 1000 plus skill power onto my vest, so that gives me a lot of access to the mods that I need. And then lastly, just the holster and the knees. Make sure you've got yellow attributes on these. The reason why I'm trying to stack as many yellow attributes and mods is for the BTSU gloves. So you probably already know what these gloves do. For those that don't, I'll quickly explain. The idea of these gloves is basically you want to set status effects onto enemies. So the hive does that, and it does it very well. I'll cover the hive in a second. But these BTSU gloves, they get infused once the enemies are, they have a status effect on them. When the gloves get infused, the gloves that are blue on the left hand side of the screen right now, they go red. They're blue at the moment, they turn red. And when that happens, you get 10% more skill damage for every yellow attribute number that you have in your build. So at the moment I've got 15, so I gain 150% skill damage, which is, I think, insane. It's very, very enjoyable. So all of these yellow attributes contribute to that, and that's fantastic. And then I should cover something which is also quite good. This build does actually have healing, which is really nice. The way to do that is just put the healing mods onto your gear. So you can see here I've got armor on kill 4000 there. On the knees I've got another kind of 3800 armor on kill, and then lastly on the gloves I've also spec'd into that 3800 armor on kill. So when I put my mines into a room and it absolutely decimates all the enemies in front of me, I'm getting probably like between 100 and 150,000 armor from one set of mines going out. So it's got a great amount of healing, and to work with perfectly rooted, you probably want to be in cover anyway. So you're going to be healing a lot, you're going to be doing significant amount of damage. Not going to help you right now, buddy, I'm recording. So lastly, going into these 3 options here, do go for the standard fragmentation. It's the concussion grenade. The fragmentation, all of the others, you want to stay away from them. The reason why you go for this is because you're dropping over 500,000 damage from your destructive. In my loadout, you'll see yellow mods on each of my gear pieces. I've spec'd into explosive damage with all of these. So just to give you an example, you can see here explosive damage 4.5%, explosive damage 5%. You can see on all of them I've got like 4.5%, 5% on all of these. So it really does rack up the explosive damage, especially with destructive. So that makes the grenade more powerful. So do go for the concussion grenade and not the standard one. You might want to go for the standard one if you want to set the status effect onto the enemies, but you really don't need to. And the reason why you don't need to is because of the hive, and I'm going to cover this now. So my hive, I'm very, very, very happy with it. It's amazing. The range is insane. 60 meters from the middle of the hive to one side of the hive. So it's 32 meters from one side of the circle to the other side. So it's pretty good. I'm happy with that. The damage, I've got a 96% mod on that. I've got 97% charges, 98% radius. When I do go into PvP, I get rid of the charges and I stack that into damage. So I do double damage at like over 95% mods. So I've got 2 95% mods on when I go into PvP. And I just stay behind the team in a support function, throw my mines over the top, throw my hive. The radius is so huge that the attacking enemies basically need to run away from us to not get hit by my hive, and my mines normally finish off all the enemies, and if they don't, my team just finish them off because they'll be incredibly weak. So this build does actually work in PvP, of course not solo farming, but it does work when you're in a squad and you can just play that support role and hang back. And then lastly, my mines. So the mines are very good too. The cooldown is 23.6 seconds. You guys are going to go like, what's going on there? I've never, ever wait 23.6 seconds for my Seekers. And the reason why is because of in rhythm, it's because of skilled, and it's because of hardwired. I'd say 90% of the time my Seekers are instant, as long as I drop them at my feet and then target the enemy. By the time the Seekers roll towards the enemy, it's about a second and a half. They go into cooldown. And when the mines connect with the enemy, that procs all of your hardwired, your skilled, your in rhythm. So your mines can actually earn themselves another pair of mines, which is really good. I've gone for the +6 mine mod, which is very useful. And the beauty of going for a build that has instant skill cooldowns from the gear is that you can get 2 damage mods onto your mines. So instead of what most people would do, which is go for 1 mod being skill haste, you can stack another 93 or 97 or whatever you've got percentage damage mod onto it. So it's really, really fun and high powerful. So last thing to mention is Demolitionist. So if you're struggling to make this build because you're not getting kind of god roll mods when it comes to skill power, then switch over to Technician. That'll give you well over 3000 skill power, which is what I had in a previous video. But once you do start getting these really high skill attribute mods and all of that, then you will be able to switch to Demolitionist. And Demolitionist gives you another, I think it's 25% explosive damage. So you're doing insane amounts of explosive damage, and the bleed effect that sets with Sadist allows you to really do a fair amount of gun damage, seeing as it is a skill-based loadout. That's pretty much it. That's my updated build. I hope it's been useful and interesting to you. It drops some crazy numbers on Heroic. It's even useful in PvP in terms of Dark Zone. You can farm landmarks ridiculously quick. It's insane. But if you like this video, please do give me a like and subscribe. Share it with someone who you think would enjoy this kind of skill explosive build that we've got going on. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond to each and every one of them. But thank you very much for taking your time to watch this video. Have a great day. Thank you.